I got a video he sent me back in 2000 and was it 20 or something?
So I meet somebody in 2024 who you said you ain't even been with.
Well, when I met him in July, and then after that, when you get to know a person, I knew her so we met July 6th at the court fight.
Okay.
Which is crazy. We've been together over a year and a half now. It'll be 2 years next year in September.
And if you're supposedly locked in for the biggest fight of your career, why is so much attention landing on jewelry and image instead of the ring? That's the question sending social media into overdrive. Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, hit subscribe because we don't just repeat headlines, we dig into the behavior behind them. Every scandal has a lesson if you're willing to look deeper. Quick disclaimer, I'm away waiting for the arrival of my grandchild, so if you hear chickens, birds, or kids in the background, that's real life. Now let's get into this. Yes, plenty of creators have already covered this controversy, but I'm approaching it from a different angle. My goal isn't to bully, harass, or tear anyone down. Some people online may choose that route, but that's not what this discussion is about. What interests me is the pattern. To me, this isn't simply celebrity gossip. It's behavioral evidence worth examining. Once again, Claressa Shields has given the internet something to debate. Trolls immediately jumped in, but instead of focusing on insults, I see a psychological case study unfolding in real time. The biggest surprise wasn't that she reacted. It was how she reacted. Even though Remy Ma's camp never directly confronted her, a response still came, and that alone has people asking why. Before breaking down the latest twist, let's quickly revisit what happened so everyone is on the same page. But don't expect a basic recap. This isn't just about repeating rumors. It's about understanding motivations, public perception, and the emotional patterns hiding beneath the headlines. Sometimes the most important story isn't what people say out loud, but what their actions quietly reveal.
These are gifts from my man, okay? This is what I gifted myself. Little bracelet, myself. I love having stuff and I ain't seen nobody wear before.
Fans quickly compared the timeline and pointed out that Remy had been wearing those signature luxury pieces long before the latest controversy. Many argued the resemblance wasn't coincidence, but another attempt to mirror her style, insisting Remy still wore it better. The conversation grew louder after Remy appeared at the Super Bowl in a custom look, with her friend proudly shouting that it couldn't be copied. Instead of letting the moment pass, Claressa responded online, and to many viewers, that reaction only reinforced the comparisons she seemed determined to escape. Sometimes the loudest denial becomes the strongest confirmation.
Away from.
Let me tell you something. I cannot be copied. What I do is original. The number one. Copy this. Copy this. Just stand straight and see if your ass make a pee. Talk to me. What we talking about?
Fans quickly compared the timeline and pointed out that Remy had been wearing those signature luxury pieces long before the latest controversy. Many argued the resemblance wasn't coincidence, but another attempt to mirror her style, insisting Remy still wore it better. The conversation grew louder after Remy appeared at the Super Bowl in a custom look, with her friend proudly shouting that it couldn't be copied. Instead of letting the moment pass, Claressa responded online, and to many viewers, that reaction only reinforced the comparisons she seemed determined to escape. Sometimes the loudest denial becomes the strongest confirmation.
I might not be the sharpest knife in the drawer, but everybody's flooding my comment section talking about, but how'd you catch Claressa Shields capping in 4K? This is how I caught Claressa Shields capping in 4K. Then you can get in the comments and issue me an apology, or you can just say, oh yeah, man. But Claressa Shields said that she likes jewelry that nobody else has got, and she's 100% sure nobody else has this here jewelry. I'm gonna see what the survey says, man. Now this is all receipts.
These are gifts from my man, okay? This is what I gifted myself. Little bracelet, myself. I love having stuff and I ain't seen nobody wear before.
Well, here's who's already got it.
It all started with one brutal observation, and once people noticed it, there was no unseeing it. The irony is almost unbelievable. She insists she doesn't like anything that's already belonged to someone else, yet she's in a relationship with a man who already has a wife. That's the contradiction everyone keeps circling back to, and it makes every public move look even more calculated. Now let's rewind to Valentine's Day, because that's when the comparison game shifted into overdrive. Public displays have always been part of her formula. Even her engagement to Tony Rich became internet content because the surprise had to be captured on camera. When every milestone is filmed, it stops feeling spontaneous and starts looking like a performance. So when Valentine's Day arrived with cameras rolling and what looked like a full production crew, it wasn't shocking at all. It felt like the next chapter in a familiar pattern. Real relationships don't usually require constant documentation. Competition does. Everyone remembers Christmas, when he spent the holiday with his wife and family. The internet watched that unfold, and the fallout afterward was impossible to ignore. Then came Valentine's Day, packed with dramatic moments, lavish visuals, and even the helicopter ride. It looked impressive, but it didn't feel intimate. It felt like a carefully staged answer to everything people had been saying online. That's what keeps standing out. The grand gestures seem less about celebrating love and more about winning public approval. When someone feels uncertain about their place, they often compensate with louder affection, bigger gifts, extravagant experiences, and endless content. If a relationship feels secure, it doesn't constantly need an audience to validate. That's why so many viewers describe this as the comparison Olympics. Christmas belonged to the wife. Valentine's Day became a production. Add the matching jewelry, similar fashion choices, and captions that seem to respond to public criticism, and the entire situation begins looking less like romance and more like a contest for attention. The unfortunate part is none of this should be necessary. She's talented, successful, respected, and has more than enough accomplishments to stand on her own. But insecurity has a way of making even the strongest people chase validation instead of confidence. Instead of enjoying the relationship privately, everything becomes about proving something publicly. What many people overlook is that this isn't simply about another woman. It's about stepping into a legacy. Remy and Pap spent years building a public image together through interviews, documentaries, magazine features, reality television, podcasts, social media, and countless appearances. Their relationship became a recognizable brand with years of memories attached to it. Walking into that situation means stepping into an emotional history that already exists. The public has watched that story develop for years, creating a level of nostalgia that can't be replaced overnight. You're no longer competing for one person's affection. You're competing against memories, history, and an image that millions have already accepted. Viewed through that lens, Valentine's Day doesn't seem random anymore. It looks like an effort to create fresh moments, new visuals, and another chapter capable of challenging everything that came before. The problem is simple. You can't erase years of genuine public history with a handful of flashy spectacles. Authentic stories are built gradually through time, not manufactured during a single holiday. That's why the comparisons refuse to disappear. It's not about appearance, talent, or success. It's about trying to outshine a story that's already deeply rooted in people's minds. Rather than creating a completely new narrative, every move ends up inviting direct comparisons to one that's already firmly established. And because there's still no divorce, those comparisons become even harder to escape. You may challenge another person's place, but history is far more difficult to replace. That's where the real battle begins, and history rarely loses at this stage. It isn't even about Valentine's Day anymore. The boots, the fur coat, the jeans, the tank top, the jewelry, and every carefully planned photo all feed the same pattern: comparison, overcorrection, and constant attempts to rewrite an already familiar story instead of creating a brand new one. When viewers immediately connect every setup back to Remy Ma without anyone saying a word, that's not an accident. That's the narrative taking on a life of its own. And once public perception reaches that point, no amount of grand gestures, expensive surprises, or perfectly staged content can change one simple truth. The strongest stories are never the loudest. They're the ones that never have to compete.
Claressa Shields wants y'all to know that she got a big old butt.
32, 33. That's the waist.
And then we go around the butt. I'm gonna start from in the middle. Yeah, that ass fat, girl. Yeah, that's like 44. So I know I lost a couple inches because, let me go to the big part of the butt. Let me go down here. See, that's the part that go off the widest. Let's try that.
Girl, boo. It ain't finna change.
It did, because it's a different part of the butt. Yeah, so around my actual ass is a 45. So it's like 32, 33 up here. And then 44, 45. 44, then it gets bigger with the 45. So yeah, that's my measurements. Let me tell you something. I cannot be copied. What I do is original. The number one. Copy this. Just stand straight and see if your ass make a peep. Talk to me. What we talking about? The originator. The one. No worries. Y'all all get turned to your last book. Every last one of y'all. Yeah. I ain't saying no name because your name don't matter. Ain't none of y'all fuck with me. Copy this. Copy the 1, 2. Can you do that? I got something for you. Hold on. How many put I'm about to go? Count these.
Here's the hard truth nobody wants to say out loud. The more she tries to convince everyone she's the better woman, the less convincing it becomes. The constant flexing isn't proving confidence, it's exposing insecurity, and that's exactly why people keep talking. This isn't about body shaming. It's about behavior. When someone repeatedly pushes the narrative that they're more attractive, the better upgrade, or somehow winning, they invite the very comparisons they're trying to control. Instead of looking secure, every public display starts feeling forced. The pattern is impossible to ignore. Every attempt to look superior only highlights the doubt underneath. The louder the message becomes, the more obvious the need for validation appears. Real confidence doesn't campaign for votes. It doesn't constantly remind people who's prettier, who's happier, or who's supposedly winning. It simply exists. That's been the concern from the beginning. Unchecked insecurity can destroy what talent spent years building. Claressa is undeniably gifted, disciplined, and accomplished. She's earned respect through hard work. But if this endless comparison game continues, the biggest threat to her reputation won't come from anything inside the ring. It'll come from the way the public starts seeing her outside of it. Reputations rarely collapse overnight. They fade little by little through repeated moments that make people uncomfortable. The internet keeps receipts, and once the conversation shifts from champion to someone viewed as constantly competing for attention, changing that perception becomes incredibly difficult. That's what makes the situation so disappointing. She doesn't have to mirror anyone. She doesn't have to outperform a relationship history that was built over many years. Trying to defeat nostalgia and rewrite an established story is a battle that rarely ends well. The biggest question now isn't whether she's competing, it's whether she's making these choices on her own or being influenced by someone else. And that answer could change how everyone views this entire situation. Sometimes the greatest fight isn't against another person, it's against the narrative you create for yourself.